What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I'm here to talk to you about the upcoming 2024-2025 PWHL season. It's nice that it's 2024-2025. It's not just one season. It's not shortened. It's a full season. Let's see what we. Our first game. We've got the schedule, so that's the big thing I want to talk about is, the schedule release and expectations going into the season. I've done an expectations video for the Red Blacks, for the Sens, so this is what I'm expecting and what the goals should be for this upcoming season. Our first game of the season is going to be on November 30th, so we almost start in December, but we will get a November game. November is a great month for me. As somebody who watches CFL, NHL, NFL, and PWHL, it's the one month where all of my leagues are on. I know it's by a day, but that still counts. So in November, I'm going to get... Now, it also might only be by 2 days. Hopefully it goes longer. Hopefully they go deep into November. But at the very least, 2 days in November, I'm going to get to see the Red Blacks play. And with a day left in November, I'm going to get to see the Ottawa Charge play. And, there's going to be Sens games, and hopefully this November won't be terrible, and hopefully the 49ers will turn things around. But great month for sports for me. I love November. November is great. And November 30th, first game of the season. First home game will be December 3rd. I believe our final home game is April 30th, and May 3rd, I want to say, is our final game, which is nice. So if you think about it, it's like very end of November to very start of May. We've got December, January, February, March, April, and then, so 5-ish months. And we've got some breaks in there. We've got, we actually have a home break because of the double IHF World Juniors. I'm going to be going to a game, not a game, a preliminary game, but it's still the World Juniors. Getting to go is awesome, and that's going to be a memory that's going to last for a really long time. They come once every 2 decades to Ottawa. So I'm super pumped that the World Juniors are coming to the city. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And but obviously we're going to have to go on an extended road trip. So early in the season, we're going to immediately have a long road trip, and we're going to have to... Well, we're going to get to see some... what's the word? It's not controversy. Not adversary, but... the word's on the tip of my tongue, but we're gonna face, a tough point in the season. No, I'm not saying tough point as in we're going to lose a lot of games, but a road trip that's long could really put you out of the race early if you don't do well. And conversely, if you can get the job done on that road trip and keep yourself in it, and then the rest of the season you're going to have a bunch of home games, that could set us up for success. And I'm really hoping... I think my big hope is, at the start of the season, we got to do well on that road trip. There's going to be another break, but it's going to be an actual break for the women's IHF tournament, which... if you saw last season, it was great. It was amazing. It was, as always, it was a heart-racing, heart-pounding adventure, and I'm looking forward to the next one. But I like the schedule. I like 30 games. Personally, I think especially 5 months with, a bit of a break. So I think, because it technically goes into May, goes into November, but also we are going to have some breaks. I'd call it generally 5 months. 30 games in 5 months for me, that's right in that sweet spot. Like I said, I watch a whole bunch of different leagues. And I like, all the leagues, and I'm okay with the number of games for all the leagues, but I am a huge fan of the PWHL. Not too many, not too little. Each game, big time matters. With 30 games, if you drop 3 in a row, you've lost 10% of your season right there. Now, in some leagues, if you drop 2 in a row, like the CFL, back-to-back losses is 10% of your season. Straight up, that's 10%. Same with the NFL. It's more, actually. And in other leagues, like the NHL, you could drop 4 in a row, and it's not even 5% of your season. you could drop 4 in a row and be unscathed. So this is like that nice middle ground where momentum really matters. Where like, you know, being consistent, where I even feel like, you know, winning a game, losing a game, winning a game, losing a game, sometimes having back-to-back losses and sometimes having back-to-back wins and, you know, occasionally 3 in a row. You can tread water like that. Where but at the same time, 6, 7 losses in a row will tank you. Like a streak like that, when you've only got 30 games, would probably tank you. Like if we go 7 games without a single point, we'll likely miss the playoffs. Conversely, if we go 7 games in a row where we win every single game in regulation, we're set. We're probably going to make the postseason. I like 30 games. It also, with the Sens, you know, I feel like wins and losses, I don't have enough time to digest often. You know, right now as I'm making this video, the Tampa Bay game is going on. We're up 2-0. Hopefully this isn't going to age terribly and like we lose 5-2 or something. Hopefully we win this game. But I was at the New Jersey game. I like kind of just am getting over that loss still, and already there's some other game going on. And if we win this game, say we have a great showing, say it ends up being a 6-0 win, we don't have a lot of time to digest the win and be like, all right, let's go, because we've already got another game. And in football, it's almost the opposite. This week hasn't been as bad for the Red Blacks because it's our like 5-day rest. But normally it's like you lose a game and that's going to stew for the next week, where it's just the full week. I'm thinking like, oh, that loss was bad. And that's how I've been feeling. I mean, we've dropped 4 in a row, which is bad, but also, it's not dropped 4 in a row enough. It happens. And that's like a week. It takes like a week to drop 4 in a row. And then you can be right back. You have one bad week and you lose 4 in a row in the NHL. You have one bad week in the CFL, it's a single game. To drop 4 in a row, you need to have like a stinker of a month. It's been a month. You know? PWHL, with 30 games in about 5 months, gives me enough time to digest games without it lingering. Without like, if we got a bad stinky loss, say the Scepters, you know, oh, I don't like when a Toronto team beats us. Say the Scepters just smack us. They beat us like 8-0. Ugh, disgusting. Well, I'm not gonna have that game in the back of my mind for the rest of the week. But if we beat them 8-0, I'm still gonna have a good 2, 3, 4 days to be like, hey, who won 8-0? The Charge did, baby. Yeah, I really like the schedule. And the other thing I want to talk about, the other thing I'm super excited to talk about, 2 of our home games are not going to be played at TD Place. TBD. They're going to be played at TBD Place. I cannot stress enough how badly one of those games needs to be at the Canadian Tire Center. Other teams have already gotten to play in like the big arena. You know, Montreal got it. Toronto got it. We are the best fans in the league. And we don't say that, you know, just to get under other fans' skin. Like, if you look at the numbers per game, you look at the consistency of our fan base, how loud we are, how rowdy we are. You want to know how dedicated Ottawa fans are? Marie-Philippe Poulin, greatest women's hockey player ever. Adored by Canadians. She's gotten, 3 gold medal goals? Not to mention, like, I think right now we're just talking, like, overtimes. You know, this is excluding the other times she scored huge game-winning goals for Team Canada, huge momentum-shifting goals for Team Canada. She is a legend. She got a penalty shot against Ottawa. In Ottawa. And she was booed. Okay? Like, we love this team. We're passionate about this team. In the same way that Sidney Crosby, you know, when he's on Team Canada, I love him. He scored the golden goal. He got to another gold medal game and scored in that one too. He's a quadruple gold club. He's won the World Cup of Hockey, the double IHF gold medal, and Olympic gold for us. And, you know, like, yeah, he's done a lot for Team Canada. And if he has a breakaway or a penalty shot or he's taking a shot in shootout against the Sens, I'm going to boo him until I'm red in the face. We are the best fans in the league. And we need a Canadian Tire Center game. I think we could crack 21K. I really do. Like, I think especially if there was enough advance notice, and if it's like a Friday game, I think it's Friday and Sunday, the 2 days. So weekend, like Friday, end of the week, weekend's coming up. Sunday, it's on the weekend. Those are games that are TBD. You put one of those in the Canadian Tire Center, it's going to sell out. And both of those games, nothing going on in Sensland. They are not playing games that day. So I implore the league, especially if it's actually TBD, like if they still don't have a decision on where to play the games, one of them, go to the Canadian Tire Center. Like, we will pack the barn. I assure you, we will pack the barn. And yeah, I think also go to another city. As much as a season ticket holder, it pains me to say I'd like to go to all 15 games, and it's not always possible for me to just go out of the city to watch hockey games and football games. As much as I wish I could, just, life gets in the way sometimes. But growing the game is important. We had games in Detroit, Pittsburgh. I'd like to see another Canadian city get to see a PWHL game. Go to Edmonton, go to Calgary, go to Winnipeg. That'd be great. So I would love it if we got a PWHL game in another city that hasn't gotten to see one yet. Really grow the game. I can't remember if Chicago had a game, but if not, Chicago would be a great city to have a PWHL game. Even if they have, expansion is going to inevitably happen. And there's a lot of talent in this league that we could definitely have more teams. You look at Ottawa's goaltending situation, and we got Maschmeyer in net. I still think she's the starter, but we've got a wealth of talent. We've got a wealth of talent in net that, we could definitely afford if another team came into the league. And that's the last thing I want to talk about. The talent that we have. First off, Danielle Sodakny is an Ottawa Charge player. She plays for the Charge. And I think that is huge. I think with how small the league is and how talented some of the players that we drafted are, players like that can make a big difference. And we were a game away from the postseason. Let's not forget that. I think that the goal this year 100% should be the playoffs. First off, there's 6 more games than there were last season. Those 6 games could have been the difference between us making or missing the postseason. If we had 6 more games, we very well could have clinched a playoff spot. Very well could have. It's not out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. This league has a lot of parity, to the point that I could see the top 2 teams in the league missing the playoffs this year because the teams are just that tight. Games are just that close. I could see any team making or missing the postseason this year. I think, again, best fans in the league. And you got to capitalize while, strike while the iron is hot, Fans are in a frenzy. Charge fans are crazy. Don't have a bunch of losses build up, bunch of lost seasons build up, miss the playoffs, and have some of the energy die down. Because we're the most energized fan base. And I think that if this team were to make the playoffs, go on a little bit of a run, win the cup, if we were to do something like that, I can tell you, as a Red Blacks fan, a cup goes a long way. I think part of why I've been able to suffer through some of the bad seasons a little bit better is because, hey, you know what I do when I feel bad about the state of the Red Blacks? I go on YouTube, I look up 2016 Grey Cup, and I feel a little bit better, especially because I can remember that. I watched that game on TV, so I can remember what watching that game was like. If we can get a run like that, if we can get a cup like that, if we can get some good playoffs in, some good seasons in where we are at least, a contender. And I think every team that made the playoffs was a contender. Any of those, the worst team to make the playoffs won the whole thing. Any of those teams that made the playoffs could have won that year. And if we had won that last game against Toronto, I think that there was a decent chance that we could have won the whole thing. Any team can do it all, but you don't want to be the team that starts to string losing seasons together. That starts to string missing the playoffs together, especially when 4 out of 6 teams make it. It's not a huge bar to clear. So I really do think that making the playoffs needs to be the biggest goal this year. I remember last season, at the start of the season, we were using the C word. We were talking championships before the season. And to miss the playoffs entirely when before the season we're like, we're going to win the cup. I mean, you know what it reminds me of? I'm going to say it and you're going to hate it. It reminds me of Leaf fans. We were saying we're going to win the cup this year. And we didn't even pass step 1. So let's reset mentally. We were close. Let's just get to step 1, and then we'll talk about championships when we get there. With 6 more games, I do think that's going to be to the benefit of us. I think 6 games, especially last season it was 24. This season it's 30. That's what? A quarter of the season. What was a quarter last season is 20% this season. That's, first off, really good for the game. Again, great for the game. 30 games is better than 24 because now that's more games to expose people to the PWHL. More games for me to call up a friend and say, hey, what are you doing today? You want to go watch a PWHL game with me? Yeah, I got tickets. I always got tickets. More opportunity to grow the game, and that's why we should go to CTC. That's why we should go to another city, and that's why we should make the playoffs, because that would grow the game. And Ottawa's proven how we are a sports city. We are a hockey city. And enough with the doubters. If we can go on a good run, if we can go on a deep run, if we can at least have a really good season, a winning season where we make the playoffs, especially a winning season where we make the playoffs thanks to talent that we acquired in the offseason and the talent from last season that's coming back, because we still had a good team. I think the biggest issue was the lack of defensive depth. Due to trade and injury, we were kind of playing shorthanded on defense for the games that mattered most at the end of the season. When we needed to clinch, we just didn't have the bodies. Shore up on defense. Make sure that every position has depth, has somebody who can come in and, next player up mentality, where we've every position, we aren't going to be like, oh my gosh, a player just went down, this season's cooked. And I think we are a postseason team, and I think that will go a long way. I really do. I can tell you this much: the Red Blacks, I don't know what it's going to be like against Hamilton, because we've had a downward spiral. If we beat Toronto today, I think that would definitely change things. I think then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, we could clinch a playoff spot. But I remember the game against Montreal. We had a lot of people show up. I think you're going to see more season ticket holders next season. You know why? They made the playoffs. There's been more hype and more energy around this team in a while because doing well does that. And we already have a bunch of hype around the Charge. The Ottawa Charge are already, charged up. So if we also have a really good season where we make the postseason, I think we can continue to establish that we are the best team in the league, the best fans in the league. I'm sure if you were to ask players on other PWHL teams, which barn do you hate going to the most? Which one is the one where you're just like, oh, I don't want to play there? They're probably going to say Ottawa. They're going to say those fans. Oh my gosh. I can't stand them. Good. And can't stand them in a all in good fun way. Not in we're rude to the players or we throw stuff on ice or anything. But in we cheer for the Charge. We are always going go Charge go this. I mean, it was go Ottawa go. But it's going to be go Charge go this season. We're going to boo them if they are on the power play. If they get away with a bunch of penalties, we're going to be rowdy about it. We're going to be that team, that fan base, and we will continue to be that fan base if we make the postseason. And I think that should be the expectation. That should be the goal going into this season. And I think we can do it. And as always, go Ottawa, go!